This podcast is part of Mishmash Media. Hey folks.
Hey.
Welcome to a belated episode of Curbcast. This is a podcast where myself, Ivan, and my buddy Stephen over there, we review every episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, scene by scene. And sorry, it's been a couple of weeks since we've done our last episode. We had a few personal issues in our lives and we couldn't return as for the standard weekly episodes. So sorry about that.
Yeah, no, a bit of a delay. We're both getting married soon, so lots of time spent doing other things other than podcasts.
We're not marrying each other.
No. Well, there's no plan to, but maybe.
Maybe, yeah, if there's any financial incentives,
Practical marriage.
Practical marriage. Bill Gates and Melinda,
That's why I voted yes to marry you.
Thank you. Well, Bill and Melinda are separating. And
True.
They're saying it's probably for financial, well, not they, but other people are saying it's probably for financial reasons, but, it could be maybe their romance has fallen apart.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you can have Linda, I can have Bill, or vice versa, whatever. We could both marry them.
Why not? $130 billion, why not?
Why not?
Exactly. But we're not talking about Bill, we're talking about Gil today. Porno Gil.
Porno Bill?
Episode Porno. Oh no! Do you want me to get my floppy disk?
That's why they divorced.
That's why they divorced.
She found out that he was a porn star. That's how he funded Microsoft.
Yeah.
Low rent amateur porn in the 70s.
Nice. Yes, so we are talking about Porno Gil, episode 3 of season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and a funny episode. This one, I liked it.
Yeah, it felt more outrageous, a bit more off the wall, more like typical what Curb Your Enthusiasm becomes.
Yeah, a lot of coincidences and running into people again.
Yeah.
Like last time. But that's the charm of, at least season 1 of Curb.
Yeah, and just the subject matter, like porn, it's a bit more uncomfortable. It's a bit more risque, I guess. Whereas the first 2 episodes are a bit, they're Kirby, but the subject matter itself of the episode is not as risque or, there's not as much potential for just really awkward situations.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, let's talk about the plot synopsis for Porno Gil. Aired in the US on October 29th, 2000 on HBO for the very first time. A bizarre chain of events starts with Larry accidentally being invited to have dinner with a former porn star. His name's Gil, and he's played by Bob Odenkirk. You might know him as Saul Goodman from Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad.
Saul Goodman.
Saul. Sorry, I don't watch Better Call Saul.
All you have to remember is it's Saul Goodman.
It's Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman, yes. So he's played by him. The party turns out to be one disaster after another when Larry breaks a lamp, is forced to take off his shoes, loses his watch, gets lost along the way, and has to do the dreaded double goodbye, which I find a bit awkward myself. What do you think of the double goodbye?
It depends how the first goodbye goes. In this case, for Larry it's bad because the first goodbye was horrible, so he's got to go back in. But if it's, if the first goodbye is pleasant and you have to go back in to, because you forgot something, that's fine. It's all dependent on how the first goodbye goes.
Yeah, but I guess if they're like friends or family members, maybe it's all right. But if it's someone who you've accidentally rang from your phone book and you haven't seen them in like months and then you see them, that might be, and especially after what Larry did to the lamp, that's pretty intense.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, the first goodbye is a total disaster, so the second goodbye is going to be worse, because he's got to go back into, an embarrassing situation. In a chaos.
Yeah.
But if the first goodbye is fine, it's if he won them over, if he was charming and everyone liked him and everyone thought, oh, we don't want you to leave, and he came back in, that'd be good.
Yeah.
It'd probably be like Cheers, when you walk in and everyone's like, hey!
Everyone knows your name, huh?
Exactly.
And meanwhile, Jeff undergoes emergency surgery and asks Larry to go to his house to retrieve his porno collection so Susie doesn't see it should he pass away from the operation. Bit of trivia, Steve, about the episode. This is the first episode in the series which Larry has the catchphrase pretty good. But he says it like pretty good.
Yeah, no, and that becomes the catchphrase. Got to wonder if it was an accident, if he just said it and it got like a good audience reaction, or he watched the episode again and thought, I like that. You got to wonder whether it was an accident, whether that became the catchphrase. I mean, that's sort of the tagline for our podcast as well. A pretty good podcast.
Yeah.
Shooting fish in a barrel. When it comes to thinking of taglines, it's like, well, let's just pick the obvious.
Yeah.
Or if it was just an accident. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head what the lines were, but I vaguely recall a couple of Seinfeld lines where, something that they've said that they didn't intend to become a catchphrase became massive, and then things that the writers actually planned for that line to catch on didn't. They fell by the wayside. There's an episode, I can't remember what it is, but there's accidental catchphrases become popular, and then ones that they plan on it just don't catch on for whatever reason.
Bidwabus feels like we did that a lifetime ago, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, it was, what, 6 weeks ago we finished?
Yeah, that feels like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy. And this is the only episode of the series with a cold opening until the first episode of season 8. So it starts off cold with Larry at the driving range. A man walks up to him in the driving green with a full bucket of golf balls, and one of the balls lands near Larry. He stares at it, and the man's hoping that maybe Larry picks it up for him. And Larry just looks at him, and the guy ends up picking it up.
Yeah, it's a bit jarring. I didn't notice it when I first watched it, but when I watched it after reading this trivia point, it is very, very noticeable.
Yeah, and I love how the theme song, how it's timed, like that downbeat note where it's like boom.
Yeah.
When it goes boom, like that downbeat, Larry hits the golf ball at the same time. It's like synchronized.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's
very
clever,
well
yeah.
timed. Yeah, very clever. Anyway, that was the first scene of Curb.
Nice segue.
Thanks. Yeah, we usually go, here's the first scene, blah. In the next scene of the episode, Larry talks about what happened with Cheryl. She asks where the ball landed to decide who should pick it up. Larry says it was near the man, so he had no obligation to pick it up. Larry says Jeff needs bypass surgery. Cheryl gives her blessings and says that Larry missed a call from a friend called John. He calls the number and realizes that he called a guy called Gil, who he only played golf with a couple of times, and his number was underneath John's. Gil invites Larry for dinner on Saturday night. Larry says that he needs directions to the place. He tells Cheryl about it, but she doesn't want to go to a porn party, and she says they already have dinner on Saturday night, and she doesn't want to go to this porn party, and Larry's like, porn party? What porn party? What are you talking about? Larry suggests that they go for dinner and then stop by Gil's to say hello. So, I mean, already, like, Larry, I don't know what. I guess maybe because Gil he admires Gil for being a porn star or something. But Larry just seems kind of, because he accidentally called his number, he kind of feels obliged to, say, oh, sorry, maybe I should follow with your stuff. Like, we should definitely do it.
Yeah, I think he just accepts the invite out of obligation. Yeah, it's an awkward situation where he's accidentally called him. And for whatever reason, he decides that it's a good idea. I don't really like Cheryl in the scene. She's being very judgmental and uptight, I think.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if it was a dinner party full of present day porn stars, and Gil was part of that, I could understand her reluctance, because you would naturally assume that
there'll be a massive orgy after dessert.
not so much that, but maybe just most of the topics of discussion would be porn related,
right?
And that might not be everyone's cup of tea. But the fact that one person was a porn actor, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they're having the party, to define that as a porn party, I just think it's a bit judgmental.
Well, Gil says he lives in the house that Cum built.
Yeah,
in a later scene. So
that's true.
That his works are in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
His efforts.
It's a tribute to all of his loads is blown.
Yeah, oh no.
What do you think's holding those bricks together?
Oh, shit.
It's not mortar.
Oh my goodness, it's something else. But I agree with you. I think Cheryl, because we know that, like, in later seasons and episodes, we know that Cheryl comes from a conservative family.
Yeah.
Conservative, waspy kind of lifestyle. So, porn is like a bit taboo.
Yeah.
For that community. It's like, ooh, you can't talk about that.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like, I would understand if it was a porn party in that. If all the guests were like former or current porn stars and it was porn themed, fine. But, one person, the host of the party, was a porn star almost a lifetime ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That has nothing to do with what's going on now.
I know.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, Cheryl becomes more awkward later on in the episode.
I mean, porn inevitably comes up, so she is vindicated.
She is, yeah.
But just the initial assumption of what the party will be, I just think is a bit myopic.
Yeah, very myopic and very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
At the City of Angels Medical Center, Larry is visiting Jeff. He says that he has a heart blockage and that he needs surgery to clean out his arteries. He asks Larry to collect his VHS porn collection from his house, as well as some magazines alongside it. Jeff instructs Larry on how to get into the house and get it before Susie finds out about them, for fear of shame should she find out. Larry is bewildered, but offers to do it. Jerry gives him his alarm code 9988. He can't believe that Larry won't be able to remember a number like that, as Larry is worried that something might happen.
The only way I can understand Larry being worried is if he read the paper upside down and it said 8866.
Yeah.
But even then, 9988 is not a hard number to remember.
No.
And I mean, even if he was worried, like if I wrote that down on a piece of paper and I realized, I might read this upside down as 8866, you just put a line underneath it, problem solved. Mm-hmm. He's worrying for nothing, I think.
Yeah, he's worrying for nothing. Yeah, he's being, he's very nervous. And plus, I think Larry is afraid of Susie as well. Like, he's like, because Susie's a very, like, in later episodes anyway.
Yeah, she's not a fan of Larry.
No, and she really tells it like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think Larry's got the fear of, fear struck in him.
The only thing I wanted to mention about this scene, and it reminds me of in the Pants Tent when Richard suggests they all go out for cappuccinos. It really dates it.
Yeah.
The idea of having a VHS porn collection that's hidden somewhere, a porn stash, Nash just really, really dates this. It reminds me, I had some secret VHSs that I'd hide from my parents when I lived at home when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that. It really, really dates it. Now it's just there's a digital version of it. You've got to rename files if you have them on your computer or whatever.
Yeah. Family Vacation.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the film section, like family films.
Oh no.
You've got Mulan, Lion King, Debbie Does Dallas 8. That's a Disney film.
No. That would be the most awkward Disney film.
Yeah.
In the next scene, it's Saturday night, and the Davids, after their dinner, are on the way to Gil's, and they are lost on the way. Cheryl asks Larry to use his car GPS, but Larry says he doesn't know how to use it. And it's interesting how Larry has a GPS navigator in his car in 2000. That sounds pretty fancy, even back then.
Yeah, I think the late 90s was the first generation of decent GPS technology and mobile phone. It's like, I think you mentioned in the Pants Tent how, he has a phone, but I think we talked about he's worth a lot of money. He's in LA. Like, it makes sense.
Worth millions, yeah. And I think GPS technology was like a military technology for like a decade or two, right? And then it got released for civilian use.
Pretty much every broad technology started out at the military.
Yeah.
The internet started from DARPA.
Right.
Like it. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure GPS was like 10, 20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, the mRNA vaccine technology that built most of the current vaccines for coronavirus, that was developed by DARPA 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a military technology.
That's very true, yeah. So us plebs can adopt it. And,
I mean, that's a normal flow of technology. It starts at like a government or military level. They use it for their purposes, and then it slowly becomes commercialized and, used for the public.
And then it's the early adopters.
Yeah.
And then it's I think there's like a graph where it's like the early adopters, and then it's like the middle people.
Yep.
And then it's like the Luddites.
Yeah.
it's like the last of the last who have to inevitably.
Well, Luddites by definition wouldn't adopt the technology.
No, they wouldn't, but otherwise they'd be kind of forced, to if there's nothing else.
Where it just becomes freely available for everyone.
And it's ubiquitous to society.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. She suggests that Larry calls Gil again, but he says that they're not answering their phone, so there's no point trying, as he comments on the poor quality directions provided. He spots an old woman on the side of the road to ask for directions. I love this part, she grabs the paper and looks at where to go as she's unable to read the directions. She asks why Larry didn't ask for directions when he mentions he went to a gas station. They begin to argue as she gets angry and tears up the paper and walks off. And she says that he became like psychotic or, something like that.
Yeah, I think she says like aggressive or
argumentative
or something like that.
Yeah, whereas she's the bad
She's
one.
the aggressor.
She's the aggressor, definitely. And
Larry's being a tiny bit pushy when he's like, okay, well, you can't help me. He's probably just a bit frustrated at the situation in general. He's lost. Obviously, Cheryl's frustrated. That's probably weighing on him a bit. And he's a bit short with her, maybe, kind of, and he says, okay, and he tries to get the directions back off her, but then she just like takes it to a ridiculous place and tears it up.
Yeah, and then Larry and Cheryl even worse.
And Larry's just shocked silence is the perfect encapsulation of how you would feel. It's just, I can't believe it. Like, this has got to be a joke. Like, you'd feel like that people are just fucking with you.
Exactly.
You're like, is this old lady, like, is Gil putting me on? Like, what's, you'd
is this
feel,
a prank?
Yeah, you'd start to feel paranoid. Like,
Yeah. You think because they're way out of LA, you think it's like a community who all know each other.
Yeah.
And maybe Gil's like, maybe the old woman's like a neighbor to Gil, and Gil's like, can you fuck with this guy?
Yeah. Yeah. That
like deliberately done
that
bad
thought
directions.
would cross with my mind. Like,
definitely.
Surely out of all the people that I could, ask for directions, what are the chances that I run into a crazy old lady who claims that I'm being aggressive and rips up my directions that I'm already struggling with?
And you don't know the area and you can't use your GPS, so you're stuffed.
Yeah.
Either way. Yeah.
You've been very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can I just have the paper back, please? I have to get going. I've kind of been late. Thank you very much.
Don't get so impatient. Please.
Well, I'm a little late.
I'm getting a lot of hostility from you,
There's
a feeling of anger.
No, there's no hostility at all. There's no
help.
anger. Can I just please have the paper back?
Please. You snap.
Cheryl is frustrated about driving around for what seems to be a few hours at this point. I reckon it's at least a couple of hours of driving around.
Yeah.
Larry claims he's trying to get home, so they're hoping to go back on the freeway to get back to LA. They spot a car coming past. And of course, another coincidence, the driver is the guy from the first scene, the guy from the driving range who accuses Larry of not helping him with the ball. Larry claims he could twist his back, but he can't bend due to his back as an excuse. Because the guy's like, oh, but you were hitting those balls quite well.
Yeah.
And he goes, twisted. My back is twisted.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And obviously this guy doesn't believe him for a second.
Yeah.
Larry apologizes and the guy drives off, leaving him lost once again. Well, how about you bend over and you can kiss my ass?
Yeah. Good line.
Good line. Very good line.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just rubs it in. He drives off. Larry goes back to the car and Cheryl asks, how did it go? And Larry says his pretty good line for the first time in the series.
Yeah.
And moments later, Gil calls Larry back to help help him direct him to the house.
Yeah, he eventually gets there. Larry seems to have a problem with anything written down on paper, any sort of instruction or, code for Jeff's porn collection. I don't know, maybe he should somehow, I mean, were Palm Pilots around at this time?
Or probably maybe a few years off.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe if I struggled with anything written down on paper like Larry seems to be, I'd figure out a solution. I'd ask.
It's like Larry, I don't like, it's funny because Larry seems like the kind of person who doesn't want to give time to menial stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have time, he has lots of time to do anything he wants.
Yeah.
So it's like...
his life's pretty leisurely.
His life's very leisurely. His leisure suit Larry to a degree. Like the video game character.
Yeah.
He is like that.
Leisure Suit Larry's more fun though.
Yeah, that's true. And more horny.
Yeah.
But no, Larry, it just, he makes it have to be like, I'm this busy guy, I've got meetings and this and this.
Yep.
But for like 18 hours of the day, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever.
Yeah. Most of his problems just come from him not, it's almost like if he had a place to go, if he had a workplace, not that he needs to, like if you don't have to work, more power to you. Exactly. Good on you. I would be as leisurely as Larry is, Herb, if I could be. But, if he had a place to go, 5-6 days a week, I think he'd get in less trouble, because he'd be less in these random situations where he just says something and then it all just falls apart.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's Larry for you.
Yeah.
They arrive at Gil's finally, and they both agree to stay for one drink for 15 minutes only. Gil greets them both. He asks them to take their shoes off, but Larry refuses to do it as he takes Cheryl's coat. Gil says it is his wife's rule. They're bewildered as they see a few people having dinner, and Cheryl thought that this was a house party rather than a dinner party, because she even comments when they're at the front door, like, where's all the cars?
Yeah.
You think with a party there'd be like 50 cars, in the front yard.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Especially in such a seemingly remote place.
Surprising, yeah. Obviously, people wouldn't catch cabs.
Yeah.
They'd drive, but yeah. Larry and Cheryl meet all the people at the dinner table. I think there's 3 couples?
Yeah, I think there's 8, maybe 8 or 10, something like that.
Yeah.
Normal sized dinner party, I think.
Yeah, about 8 to 10. They meet all the people there. Gil's wife, Melanie, stares at Larry's shoes as she berates Gil for this secretly while no one's listening. Gil recounts his Tabasco story from his porn days. He said that he had a problem keeping up his erection during a porn scene, and a crew member inserted Tabasco into his rectum to maintain an erection, as well as explicit detail on the same crew member fluffing him. God. It's pretty graphic. I won't go into too much detail, but yeah, you got to watch the episode to figure it out. It's very, like, Bob, I think, does a really good job of, like, explaining it.
Yeah.
But he just seems like proud of it. He's like, yeah, Tabasco, like hot sauces shoved up my bum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
He's like proud of it.
Yeah, it's like he's got a secret that no one else knows, or, he has the inside scoop about how to stay hard on porn sets.
Yeah.
Just a bit of Tabasco sauce up my bum.
Yeah, I love this moment with Bob, Bob Odenkirk. I think he sold it well.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bob Odenkirk. He could do anything and I'd love it.
Yeah. Have you seen his new movie? Is it Normal?
The one where he's like a middle-aged dad who goes out on like a revenge spree.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Okay.
Have you?
No. I'm not thinking Normal Guy or Normal Man.
Normal Man or Regular Man or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. No.
Yeah.
I'll probably watch it when it's out on Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine all the middle-aged dads watching it going, fuck yeah. I'd do that too.
And then they go, oh shit, I got to renew my health insurance. Damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, after the movie, they're like, oh, life's boring again.
I got to pay my insurance premiums. I'll rebel later.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to prepare for that parent-teacher interview.
Yeah.
Just some boring, mundane suburban thing.
Exactly. I got to pay my bills first.
Yeah.
Before I can rebel.
Oh, I can't buy a shotgun and go kill all my enemies because I've got to pay for my kids' school fees or braces or something like that.
My kids' soccer practice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Maybe next pay.
Maybe now. Yeah. One of the guests comments on Larry's watch and gives it to the guy to look at as they'll head to the living area for dessert. Cheryl tells Larry that she wants to go home.
It is the biggest crew guy we got is playing with my ball. This guy. And my wood starts going down, and I haven't even shot yet. And I go, I'm going down. And this guy goes, I'll take care of it. He runs over to the craft service table. He comes back, his finger is red. Right. Sticks it up my ass. Tabasco sauce.
Larry sees the driving range guy because they're in the living area by now getting ready for dessert. Of course, we forgot to mention the driving range guy, the same guy who told Larry to kiss his ass, is at the dinner party as well.
Yeah.
Forgot to mention that. The driving range guy is there. He drops his lighter, I think deliberately, right? He sees Larry and then drops his lighter. Probably
I think
Larry.
It
was a test.
To test whether he can bend over.
Yeah. Larry bends down, playing with that whole I can bend but can't twist scenario. He bends down gingerly to go pick up the lighter, and he accidentally knocks over a glass lamp on the way up.
Yep.
Gil's wife Melanie goes off at him for still wearing his shoes and as well as breaking the lamp, and she goes on a massive tirade. It's like ridiculous.
Oh, she explodes.
She explodes. She yells at Gil to get them out of the house. He retrieves Cheryl's coat as they make their way out, and boy, Melanie just freaking tears a new one into Larry.
Yeah, it's almost like she's got a vendetta against him prior to him even turning up. Like, she hates him for some other reason.
Yeah,
and this is just reinforcing it.
Maybe she just didn't like Seinfeld or something.
Maybe, yeah,
it's a bit over her head.
Yeah,
maybe it's one of those.
Maybe
things.
she wasn't happy that he left after season 7. He thought that season 8 and 9 were of poorer quality, and she just holds it against him.
And
should have stayed to the end.
It's all Larry. Well, Larry was the voice of George Steinbrenner for seasons 8 to 9, so he was still around somewhat.
Yeah,
so he was still there. But I feel like with Melanie, maybe like Gil said, "Oh, guess what? Larry's coming.
Yeah.
What, the guy you've only played golf with 2 times?
Yeah,
what's he doing?
Yeah, it just seems like it seems like it doesn't seem like he she thought anything well of him before he showed up. Like, she already hated him for some reason.
And the shoes, like not wearing the shoes or not taking them off, kind of reinforced it. Yeah. My feet get a bit chilly.
Yeah,
like she's just torn Larry a new one, and Larry just comes up with that meek response.
Yeah,
I love it. It's just like, oh, it's chilly. My feet, they get chilly.
Larry doesn't seem too fazed, though.
Nah.
I mean, I think he's just so used to people yelling at him.
Yeah.
I mean, she takes it way too far, but he just never seems phased. He's just like, another crazy person.
Yeah, another crazy person. Yeah, as long as she doesn't attack me or anything, then it's fine. They're walking to their car as Cheryl gives him pity points for the woman screaming at Larry despite his actions. So even though Larry fucked up and they ended up going to this, well, supposedly was meant to be a normal party, but it's a dinner party.
Yep.
And Cheryl was like fucking angry at him for like driving around for 2-3 hours trying to find the place after the berating that he received from Melanie. Cheryl's like, oh, I give you sympathy for what happened.
Yeah.
So she kind of forgives him in a way.
Well, I think Cheryl is emotionally smart enough to go, well, I can be pissed off at him for my own reasons, but also she can be sympathetic for, like, I think she feels justified in her own reasons to be pissed off at him.
Yeah.
But she feels like, sorry, what's Gil's wife's name?
Melanie.
Like, I think she feels, she's not like, yeah, fuck you, Larry. Like, she's, she can separate herself from Mel's overreaction.
Yeah, exactly. He realizes that he left his watch with one of the dinner guests and refuses to go get it as he doesn't want to do the double goodbye. Cheryl says it's an anniversary gift. You have to go in there and get it.
Yeah.
And Larry's like, all right, fine. He knocks on the door. Gil answers. Larry asks the guy, the personal trainer who has his watch, he asks back for the watch. He asks Gil for directions back home, and everyone's like, the other guests are like kind of, hey, Larry, how you doing? Nice to see you again, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Melanie's just like glaring at him as she's trying to sweep up the glass, and the driving range guys are glaring at him. It's like, it's really awkward.
Yeah.
And anyway, so Larry says goodbye. Like, so Gil gives Larry a new copy of directions. Larry says goodbye once again. Gil's wife, or Melanie, glares at him, and Gil hands him the new directions. Larry gets the wash, and he walks off. I love the bit where he's putting, like, because he's got his shoes off at this point. I love how he puts them back on, and he bends down, his bum hits the door, and it's like he's knocking, and then Gil answers the door. It's like, everything all right, Larry? He's like, no, I wasn't knocking. It wasn't a knock.
Yeah, it was an accident.
It was an accident.
I don't want a third goodbye.
No, I can't do the triple. I can't do the triple.
I feel like Gil is kind of the buffer for Mel. Like, he's so polite and he's so nice, and he's just trying to, keep his wife happy, but also make sure that Larry's okay. Like, he's just trying to balance everything and make sure everyone's okay. I've got this impression that she's constantly going off at people for not much, and he has to be the buffer.
Yeah,
he has
kind
to
of like,
soften.
It's kind of like good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Like, Melanie just goes all out.
Yeah.
And then Gil's like good cop.
Like Gil is like kind of has to take her side to a certain extent, but he's also got to make sure that the person, in this case Larry or whoever else that she's going off at is is okay. Yeah, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I think Gil, I don't know, maybe Melanie was probably like maybe on the crew of a porn film, or maybe like he just met her randomly like outside of porn, and
who knows?
Maybe she, she's like, you can't do this forever, Gil. You
Yeah,
gotta settle down. Who knows? Maybe,
Don't know.
Maybe in a way, Melanie helped Gil, kind of get out of that career and do something more productive, more productive with his life. And then Gil's probably kind of a bit worn down as well.
Yeah, he seems a bit
I don't know. It's like he doesn't want this life. I feel like he kind of wants to get back into that business.
Yeah, he's I don't think
he's reliving the glory days.
I don't think he's going through like a midlife crisis or anything like that where he wants to get back into his glory days. But I feel like it's almost like he feels like part of him is gone.
Yeah.
Maybe not even necessarily porn per se, but just him doing whatever he wants to do, whether it's porn or not porn. Like he's trapped a bit.
Yeah, it's like people who reminisce, like they used to play football.
Yeah.
And I scored this touchdown and I won the game. And then they're doing like average stuff, or they're like a father, they got kids, and they just settled down.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like relive like their great moments.
Yeah,
when
it doesn't
younger.
even have to be whatever they did.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just they just want that zest for life back.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
form.
In whatever form,
Yeah.
in whatever shape or form.
You know, they just want some hot sauce in their life, some Tabasco sauce.
Yes, and Cheryl's. It's implied here that Cheryl's pity points are basically 0 now because they're lost once again going home.
Yep.
It's implied that Gil deliberately gave them wrong directions after what Larry did. Cheryl is quietly livid for the ride home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quietly livid is
Quietly livid.
is perfectly put.
She and basically her pity points were like destroyed. It's
Yeah.
probably in the negative now.
I do like how it's one of those rare times where Larry can be kind of playful and charming, especially with Cheryl, where, you know, he can make her laugh. And I think that's the main reason she's still with him, is that he can be funny.
Yeah.
When he negotiates down her score, you know, you're 10 out of 10 pissed off at me, you know, well, with the pity points, what are you, like a 7, 7.5?
Seven's still good.
Yeah,
Seven's
like,
still good.
you know, and you can see her, she's relenting a bit. She starts to crack a smile.
Cracks a smile. Yeah, she's yeah.
You know, he knows how to sort of
Work
charm her.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if he needs to.
If she needs to be on his side.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the final scene, the next day, Larry enters Jeff's house with his front door key. He reads the alarm code 9988 upside down as 8866. He opens the door and the alarm goes off. What a misdirect. I thought like the whole 8899, no, 886699, even I don't remember the number. I thought the whole 9988 thing would be like a plot, like an advance of the plot, or something would go wrong, or Susie would come out and say, what the fuck, you know, someone's breaking into my house. I thought it'd be something, but it's like a complete misdirect, because if you notice, like Larry, he's trying to figure out the alarm code. He flips the paper back to 9988. He punches in the number and the alarm stops.
Yep.
So yeah, you can see like he's like, oh shit. He flips it back and it's like, cool. It works. I thought something would happen from it.
Yeah.
But then again, I think the funniest part would be like the porn.
Yeah.
You know, like the porn videos.
Well, I mean, you can't really do much with it's either 9988 or 8866.
Yeah.
And, you know, in reality, if you typed in 8866 and the alarm started going off, what's your only other option? Well, it must be 99888.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
like
And it would have
that's
been
his only option.
It would have
So-
been a crap ending to
Yeah,
finish on
like
that.
if he punched in 6688 and he didn't know what to do and the alarm was going off and he freaked out, him not being able to think, well, maybe it's just the other way around is very unrealistic.
It's unrealistic,
You go, well, just flip it around and try the other number, the only other number it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of room there to sort of make that more than what it is.
That's why I thought.
But I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
Like,
that's why I thought it was a complete misdirect.
Yeah.
It was like I thought something with that paper would happen. There'd be some
Yeah.
consequence, but no.
Yeah.
It's just like something momentarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that wouldn't have been as fun. So
Yeah. I mean, the point is for him to get to the porn collection.
that's right. And what comes up next is funny.
Yeah.
So he enters Jeff's bedroom and remembers what Jeff said about how to get to the porn collection. So what Jeff said repeats in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can remember the porn stuff, but not for the numbers.
Yeah.
He's got a selective memory.
He does. Porn, sex. He obtains the videos and magazines from behind the shelf or behind the cabinet, and he notices one of the videos has Gil on the cover. His porn name is Gil Bang.
Gil Bang.
Gil Bang. He plays the video and he thinks he's alone, and it's a scene with him and 2 girls. Possibly the scene that Gil talked about.
Yeah, could be.
Because, you know, that he said it was a 2-girl, 1-guy scene, so that might have been the one. Who knows? With the Tabasco. Who knows?
Given that Curb is basically a series of coincidences, I would assume that.
You'd assume that. And of course, Jeff's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Green, walk into the room in shock. And you'd think like Larry would be like, oh, sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Green. But Larry just says, oh, this is my friend. We went to dinner with him last week or last night.
He just doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit. He's like, this is my friend.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
That's it.
Yeah. And obviously that Mr. and Mrs. Green's relationship with Larry obviously sours as the season goes on.
Well, it was never on strong footing.
No,
especially
started off
after the first episode.
Yeah, started off on really bad footing. But that is the episode. That's Porno Gil. Out of 5 Larrys, I give this one 4 Larrys. I think it's quite funny.
Yeah, I give this one 4 as well.
Sweet.
Easily the best episode so far.
Yeah.
To me, this is the strongest indication of what Curb will become. Not just in terms of strength of writing, but just, again, the subject matter, where it's a bit more risque. They're pushing boundaries a bit. Wasn't as boring as Ted and Mary.
No.
Yeah, and it presented more ridiculous situations where Larry seemingly does something like innocuous or nothing at all, and people just lose their mind, and he's just like dealing with the fallout. Like, what have I done? What do I do? He's confused.
It's like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like you were saying that Ted and Mary's is more boring than was boring, but I think with Ted and Mary it was like a foundation episode.
Yeah.
Because Ted and Mary, you know, they appear more regularly on Curb later on. So
Yeah.
I think it kind of, especially with Ted in was season 2 or 3?
Yeah.
He like 3? No, when they do the restaurant, season 3.
Season 3, yeah.
Yeah, and he appears more, and he'll appear later with Mary.
Yeah,
so,
no.
yeah. I get what you mean though, but I think in comparison, I think because Porno Gil was only in 1 episode, I think they really wanted to make it strong.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense to that Porno Gil was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. But I agree. Yeah, Porno Gil is way better.
Yeah, the strongest episode by far.
Absolutely. And we'll be back next week for another episode of Curbcast. You can email us if you want to say hello, curbcastpod@gmail.com. And we are on social media in various platforms at Curbcast Pod. And we'd like to thank you for, listening to us. We're only 3 episodes in, but we're getting lots of good reviews, and we're charting on some charts on Apple and all that kind of stuff, especially in our home country, Australia, which is wonderful to see.
Yeah, no, it's been a strong start so far. And again, we apologise for the little break. That won't happen again.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll be back to regular weekly programming.
Yep, Stephen and our wedding is getting planned, so we'll marry.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
We're getting married.
We'll just have one big giant wedding.
One big giant wedding. My big fat curb wedding.
That's it.
Perfect.
And you can support us on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/mishmashmedia if you want to chuck us a few bucks for some ongoing financial support.
Indeed. My name's Ivan.
And I'm Stephen.
And we'll catch you next week for another episode of Curbcast. You take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for listening. This podcast is part of Mishmash Media, an independent podcast network. Follow us on social media at Mishmash Media AU or support us on Patreon. All those links are in the show notes.